Baldur's Gate wasn't built in a single day, but we can burn it in one. Anonymous Warforge. Welcome, humble adventurers, to my realm of knowledge and mystery. Here in my cursed library are endless tomes and scrolls on the darkest and evilest foes in all the realms, be they from Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, the many worlds of darkness, or any realm in between. Welcome to the Dastardly Decimal System. I'm your caretaker of the corrupt, the librarian Castor Cain, and supervising as always is Vega the cat. There are few jobs in any realm that are like being a jail guard or a warden. These individuals guard the villains of any world, protecting us in the process. But what happens when the guardians become as vile as the villains? For today's topic, I have brewed a pot of breakfast black tea. It is a full-bodied tea with aromas typical of tobacco, malt, and fruit. Take a seat, have a cup, and join Vega and I as we talk about the corrupted warforged known only as the Warden. Warden is a hooded warforged with glowing green eyes. Most warforged stand over 6 feet tall and weigh 300 pounds. Warden, however, is lean by comparison, a fact that benefits his stealthy, stalking lifestyle. Warforged are constructed from a variety of materials, including stone, metal, and darkwood. Warden was fashioned from a powerful dark metal. Yet as time has passed, the metal has become tainted with a writhing, eldritch corruption. Warden wears a ragged cloak from the aboleth city of Zifu, an amulet filled with the blood of an elder evil, and an eldritch tome attributed to Pandorum strapped to his right leg. The teeth of Hadar, Warden's hexblade, is fused to their right arm, while a magical shield, etched with the magical runes and twitching tentacles, is fused to his left. As a Hexblade Warlock, Warden is skilled in both melee combat and magical assaults. They like to cripple a foe with Hex before assaulting them with Eldritch Blast, Cloak of Flies, and Eldritch Smite. When needed, Warden can also call upon Hunger of Hadar to create a void of darkness, filled with cold and cosmic horrors to assault their foes. The death of a king always marks changes in a political landscape, often resulting in war. In the world of Eberron, when King Jaron died in the year 894 YK, it started a war. What nobody expected was this war would last 102 years. This would be known as the Last War. During this century-long skirmish, countless terrifying spells and weapons were used, creating massive devastation and often unleashing new and terrifying horrors onto the world. Some were even summoned from alien worlds and extraplanar locations. During the war, House Caniff viewed this trend as the real threat that it was and decided to do something about it. They built a massive subterranean prison meant to permanently house these horrific threats. The prison was even constructed with its own creation forge, the machine used to create the Warforge. They used this forge to create their immortal guardians of this prison. This Warforge was never given a name. It was simply referred to as the Warden. As the war continued, more and more of these horrors were locked away in the prison. Each was tended to and cared for by Warden and their fleet of Warforged. It's important to note that extraplanar horrors are cunning and patient creatures. They infect the minds of people with their corruption, and eventually turned people into crazed zealots and eldritch aberrations. So as Warden endlessly walked the prison, over and over, day after day, the outsiders began to whisper to him. They reached out with their magic and corruption, leading to his inevitable turn. The Great War ended in 994 YK. A red light filled the sky, bright enough to blind the soldiers on the field of ruin. Suddenly, a massive, magical explosion occurred, destroying the nation's sire and devastating the military forces of each side. No one knew what happened or what caused it, but following this loss, the war came to an end. The devastation of Sire was not the only event that occurred that day. A train, Sire 1313, was transformed into a mobile domain of dread, with each of its passengers believing that they are stuck on a journey that they can never hope to complete. On that day, as the world burned, the prison complex began to fall apart. The magic that held the horrors at bay had begun to weaken. Seeing their chance, the horrors escaped, destroying the prison in the process. Warden tried to stop them, but the faint corruption within them rapidly multiplied until the Warden was not the same person he once was. Most think Warforged as fully mature adults, but that is the furthest from the truth. They were created to be mature, fully developed adults, but in truth, they were young souls who didn't know who they were while struggling with the rudders of responsibility. Warforged were basically teenagers. When the war ended, Warforged were given their freedom. This meant there was no purpose and there was no orders. Everything was their choice now, and the Warforged were lost because of it. Warden was no different. With the prison gone and the war over, he had no calling. He had no purpose. He was just empty. When a voice reached out to the Warden, offering them purpose once more, Warden readily accepted. In the world of Toril, deep in realm space, exists the Elder Evils. These are ancient, powerful beings with power and energy that could rival that of a god. Hadar, also known as the Dark Hunter, was a star-like Elder Evil that floated through realm space. Hadar's touch is vast and can reach across worlds. So when his eyes fell upon the Warden, an already corrupted Warforged looking for a purpose, he saw a potential pact. With his dark whisper, he reached out to the Warden. He wooed the Warforged with a world beyond the prison and a mission to fill that what was missing. Warden eagerly accepted, becoming his servant. Hadar offered the Warforged a shadow weapon, transforming him into a Hexblade Warlock. Using their new magic, Warden left Eberron. They traveled across the stars and eventually arrived on Toril. Now, Warden operates in the Forgotten Realms, procuring souls for the Dark Hunger to corrupt and devour. There are studies as to how people find themselves joining cults and dark religions. Some think only the foolish and dull find themselves victims to such fanaticism. But in truth, it's often proven to be those who are intelligent that willingly enlist. What draws them to such cults and dark religion is a gap in their lives. There is some unfulfilled desire in a person, and the cult leader will always try to exploit it. Warden was a highly intelligent soul, All Warforged were. But there was a void in their lives. Without orders, without instructions, without duty or a war to fight, the Warforged were lost. Some found path in crafting, others found peace in a mundane life. But most simply roamed, unsure of what the future held for them, and not knowing what to do. Hadar simply offered the Warden a path forward, a filling, albeit a poor one, for the hole inside of them. Warden was all too eager to accept, believing his life had purpose once more, even if that purpose was a dark, corrupted one. It seems our tea has run out. I hope this aids in your adventures, Idle Champion. Join me again in my library for more stories and lore about the darkest villains from the darkest realms. This has been the Dastardly Decimal System, and once again, I'm your librarian, Castor Cain. And with me as always is Vega the cat. Do you love the Dastardly Decimal System and want to support us? Check out our new Patreon. Members will get access to show notes, official artwork, our new bonus episode series called Cleaning Up After Tea Time, and of course, plenty of cat pictures of Vega voice actors Vash and Zid. You'll even be able to suggest a topic for a future episode. Check it out at patreon.com/dastardlydecimalsystem. If you're not financially able and still want to support us, suggest the show to a D&D loving friend. It really helps us get noticed. The Dastardly Decimal System can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and BlueSky at DD System Podcast. That's Delta Delta System Podcast. Drop us a message and say hi. Vega always loves the attention. This podcast was produced by Midnight Reading Audio, a division of Midnight Reading Publishing. The voice of Castor Cain is Larry Gent. Hi. And the voice of Vega is provided by my cats, Vash and Zid. Thank you, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.